exposures, insults, deficiencies, life happens, stress happens, and what comes from that is that our mitochondria get into a situation where they can't make enough energy in the face of all the other obstacles. And we talk about this oxidation, phosphorylation, reactive oxygen species, things that you don't have to stress about too much, but just to know that there's a balance in your energy production. If you've got a high performance engine and that engine starts to literally some problems, you suddenly get black exhaust fumes coming out of your car's exhaust. Mitochondria are like little Ferrari engines inside your cells, and they need to be finely tuned, and when they don't, you get all that very bad emissions, and that literally poisons the cell. This energy crisis, and it comes down to our mitochondria, and things start to degenerate. So the current thinking in diabetes, obesity, even cancer, is all a mitochondrial problem. And mitochondria are a perfect way in to restoring the body's health. If that cell's in your pancreas, you get diabetes. If it's in your liver, you can't detoxify effectively. So we see how mitochondria are literally the foundation for our health. Yes, we know mitochondria make energy. They control the on-off switch in cells. So that cell's on when it needs to be on, off when it needs to be off. Think bipolar disorder, actually. The on switch is on too much and the off switch is on too much, and the mood's all over the place. They make important communication peptides. Your mitochondria actually make serotonin, dopamine, the happy neurotransmitters, the things that give us a good sense of well-being, mood. And you didn't think mitochondria made these things. You're going, what? They regulate our immunity. They actually regulate the stress response, because when mitochondria get stressed because there's danger in their environment, they make you stressed. Because we know then our health is going to improve. And people often do diets and good quality and well managed exercise and get all the environmental signals going, sleeping, getting your sleep, managing your stress. But we've got a few other tricks that we can bring to the whole picture, and that is where our photobiomodulation, or using light, because mitochondria are created to respond to light. That's where that comes into play. So photobiomodulation as such is really a light therapy that uses what we call non-ionizing forms of light sources. So this is not a source of light that is going to damage cells. It's not going to overheat them. So it's a non-thermal process. It's not radioactive. It's not wavelengths that are damaging to the body. They are wavelengths that the body knows. And it is essentially working on what we call endogenous chromophores. What are chromophores? Things that are sensitive to light. Chemicals that actually acknowledge and respond to photons, energy packages that light brings. And you can have interesting electrical changes. You can have biochemical changes. There's this TRPV1 receptor that sits on the outside of your cell. And when it absorbs light, it disrupts the pain signaling in the system. And as a result, you get a kind of relief, sort of analgesia. And that's why photobiomodulation is so good for pain relief. And then in the what we call extracellular, so outside of the cell, there's an interesting chemical cascade that's just waiting to be switched on, and it's around a growth factor that drives healing and regeneration, and light is tapping into that. So in the current understanding of photobiomodulation or light therapy, we know there's 3 ways in which it works. Very well researched. We're looking at what is the solid science. There's a lot of conjecture and ideas that we might have, but these 3 pathways that I shared with you are the ones that are solid. They're accepted. And Tina Carew is one of the, I think, seminal researchers in this field. She discovered the first mechanism as to how light works in mitochondria. And she says, and this is in 2013, is it time to consider light therapy a drug equivalent? That's how seriously she takes this. So we're saying that light can do the same thing as medication. It's acting on the same receptors that medication might be targeting. It's acting on the same cells. It's acting on the mitochondria. And these are the conditions that have been well researched, from neurological conditions to performance. And the ones that I like to highlight are your wound healing, your athletic performance, and then the side effects related to cancer. So in those three categories, we have randomized controlled clinical studies, the gold standard for research. In some of the other areas, we have tissue studies, we have studies on rats and mice, and studies on humans, but we're not comparing someone gets the treatment versus someone doesn't. But these three areas, we want the gold standard of research. And in wound healing, we're looking at there's the one mitochondria, there's the photoreceptor pain, there's the extracellular facilitating wound healing. And this is what light does. It never forces the body. It simply slows down the destructive signaling, and it speeds up the supportive and the regenerative strategies that the body already has. Light can't force your body to do something it doesn't want to do. Our body is very sensitive. It knows exactly what it needs to do. Yes, you can bombard yourself with the wrong wavelengths of light and harm yourself. But when it comes to red and near infrared, this is what our bodies actually crave. I think we might be a bit red light and infrared light deficient because we're never outside. There's another interesting growth factor that balances breakdown versus building up in all of our body's systems. And our photobiomodulation is assisting in maintaining that balance. You want some inflammation because that's part of fighting off germs, but you don't want too much because then you start to damage the tissue in the process of trying to fight something that you don't want in your system. So inflammation is not a bad thing. It needs to be balanced and appropriate. And you know, a lot of your clients will be complaining that they're inflamed. They've got aches and pains, and they've got, they're kind of like, my body feels swollen. I feel inflamed. And that is when they say, an imbalance. So this NF-kappa beta, which photobiomodulation balances, regulates our inflammatory pathways.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ruth Malefo. I'm also a GP. The MedWave experience today was mind-blowing. We learned a lot as doctors what the mitochondria actually can do for us. And if we assisted with this system, we can go far. For weight loss specifically, we're going to try out the machines and see how far we can go. And we're positive and looking forward to it.